Anvesha, who proposed my name, is an important session because one of the main focal points when we planned this convention was the idea that as social scholars, we are yet to be aware of the dangers of what entails NEP, of what comes in NEP and how it is going to affect us. There have been discussions about NEP going on throughout the country, but mostly what I have felt is that the agenda is being driven by those who are in support of NEP. For someone to make a resistance about anything, and for someone to come forward and make a resistance about anything, they need to be aware about the different issues that they are facing. The RSO, ever since NEP has been proposed, even when it was a draft, had come forward and placed what it felt was very concerning about different aspects of NEP. So this session, what we plan to do is we are hearing about NEP from very eminent personalities who have been in the academic field for long and who are very aware of what is happening in NEP and who are very supportive of the cause that VRSO has taken up in its endeavor to understand NEP and to understand it in all ways. We are not talking about people are talking about there might be some aspects of NEP that we need to support. So why do you oppose it altogether? So this is an opportunity for us to learn from it. I request all the dignitaries and all the speakers to come and sit on the dais, please, sir and ma'am. We begin. First speaker is Professor Jayavanesh. He will be speaking about the impact of NEP in science, social science, research and education. So without much further ado, I'll say a few words about Jayavanesh. Professor Jayavanesh was the Vice Chancellor of JSS University, and he, as most of you might know, was recently in the news for resigning his post from the body that Tamil Nadu government had constituted to make an alternative to NEP. He had quit his post on the ground that they are doing exactly the same thing that was said in the NEP. So, Professor Nation will surely have many things to talk about NEP and an alternative vision to NEP, and also particularly on this topic of impact of NEP in science, social science, research and education. Please, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and scholars, and my fellow speakers, and the organizers of this event, Democratic Research Scholars Organization, office creators of this organization, and the speakers in the morning from the audience. Good afternoon to you all. As we all understand, the National Education Policy Committee is underway now, and it has been implemented since 2 years back. And with all commitments, the Union government is implementing the National Education Policy 2020. And it was a policy 2 years ago, but now it is no longer a policy. It is the system of the government, the Indian education system. And the process is going ahead in a full-fledged manner and it is reaching every corner of the education sector. Almost all stakeholders involved in education have been doing that, knowingly or unknowingly. But few people are talking about it, resisting against it, and the government is not worried about this resistance. This is the problem. You can see that the National Curriculum Framework has been just released, and it is going to be finalized very soon. The National Curriculum, National Qualification, Higher Education Qualification Framework has been Gazette notified. Already it is underway. And as a part of the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, the Academic Bank of Credit, multiple entry exit, uniform curriculum, value-based education, and there are a lot of other nonsense. All are being implemented now, even in Tamil Nadu. The state that resisted, even for names, the Tamil Nadu government is also implementing it. Though the Tamil Nadu government also has committed for creating an alternate district education policy for the state. So that means, where are we going? I think, friends, we are too late. The moment in 2019, when the draft National Education Policy was released as a consultative document, I resigned my job as Vice Chancellor and I wrote a book in 2 months. Since then, I've been working, though I'm engaged in different capacities as Vice Chancellor of the Science and Technology University in Mysore and also the convener or member of the Higher Committee of Tamil Nadu Education, State Education Policy. But still, we are working. Only very few handful of people. But I feel that we are too late, because it has reached and penetrated into every sphere of education. I don't know whether the society, the Indian society, is aware of it. And there are, in a given society, always there are peasants, normal people, and intellectual segments. If the intellectual segment is not prepared responsibly to resist or address the issues that are there, then the society will be in chaos. I think it is not long way ahead. It's going to be just only a few years from now. The destruction going to be caused by the national education policy in this country, each and every one of us are going to witness it. It is going to happen. Because the intellectual community, the intellectual segment of the society, the Indian society, has lost its responsibility and it has failed to address the issues. National education policy is one issue. The Farmers' Bill is another issue. The Citizenship Act, Amendment Act is another one. What did we do? Nothing. The farmers, the peasants, were resisting and secured their rights after giving few hundred lives. But you and me did not. Okay, it is farmers who are there. They are all nonsense peasants, isn't it? We never worry about it. But you are part of education. We are part of producing knowledge. We are scholars. Tell me now, how many professors and students are there debating this in this country? Not even 1%. not even 1% understand. I appreciate that you are doing that. Minus you, nobody there. You go to the street, nobody will be there. Look behind, you will not have anybody behind you. They will come and talk on the stage. They will leave. Education is nothing just per se education. It is part and parcel of life. It's a social function. What do we mean by science? Science stands for social occupations. If social occupation is democratic, it will ensure that the consciousness of all stakeholders and all members of the society will be incorporated in the knowledge productivity. If you are alienated from the consciousness of the society, if anyone or any community in the name of caste or religion is alienated from the collective consciousness of the society, then that society is going to be less productive, and less productive, it will one day become barbarous community, barbarous society. I feel strongly that Indian society is headed towards a large-scale barbarism because we are not really education. Perceive what education is supposed to do. As Einstein or even now Chomsky said, education is not conforming to the dictates of the central governments or the state governments. It is not conformance to a process. Whether it is accreditation process, ranking process, this process, that process, all are secondary. But education is primarily a social function. And science stems from social occupations. That is why the 18th and 19th century Europeans, Western European countries, liberated, emancipated the paupers, the slaves. What is science doing in India? Can you question that? In the 75 years independent India, what science has done to us? Had it liberated the people of this country? Had it ensured the rights of the farmers? Farming is the knowledge. It is not you and me, but it is the knowledge as scholars and professors. Better than us, the farmers know what knowledge, what the competitive advantages knowledge in farming is about. But they didn't care. And that knowledge should have been incorporated in the way in which education is going to deal with farming as knowledge. It didn't do that. Education has failed to cultivate the human experience and all conscious process of all walks of life in this country, be it medicine, technology, science, arts, humanities, and so on. It never liberated. It never emancipated the oppressed from this country. If science never, ever liberated and emancipated the people from oppressions, there are moral oppressions. The slavery is those days. 19th century, 20th century slavery is those days. But this slavery is again modernized in the name of new market forces, neoliberalism. Now artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and quantum computing all are there to enslave us. Not even to enslave us, to enslave our consciousness. What education is supposed to do to protect us from artificial intelligence and quantum computing and quantum mechanics. Now it is digital. Madam was talking about digital. I am worried about subatomic particles. In the next 10 years, the subatomic particles through quantum mechanics and modern science is going to steer the production process. You and me wouldn't know what it is. It would be in the hands of the oppressors again. What education should do? Did national education policy address this question? No. If such a fascist education policy had been implemented or addressed in United States of America or other progressive democracies, it would have been crushed in the first instance. But we say that we are copying the American education system. America doesn't have a centralized education policy, please understand. It is life. The Senate, the central government of United States of America, never ever involved in dictating the states. Every provincial states have their own education system, own taxation policies, own agriculture policies. But we say that we are copying from America. Yes, America is commercialized. I know that. I was working in the United States in Michigan University for a long time. It is commercialized. It is either not good. I don't want American education here. I want Indian education, Kerala education, not even Indian education, please. Kerala education, Tamilian education, Kannadiga's education is the must. Because education is to do something with the local. Because if education is to cultivate the human experience and convert the human experience into curriculum, into subject matters of instruction, subject matters of learning, then it has to be regional. But of course, science has to meet the universal necessity. Yes, Kerala's knowledge will also meet the universal necessity. Will. But the national education policy is rewriting. Rewriting history is understood. But in rewriting science, I really cannot believe this. They say that Pythagoras' theorem was there. Who is saying that? The so-called IIT Kharagpur, he claims that Pythagoras' theorem was there already in the Veda. And he did that. Do you agree with that? And ever first Veda had come up with Vedanta, Veda, what has come out with Pythagoras theorem. But Pythagoras is 2,500 years old. Then my question is, do you think that the Egyptian pharaohs are foolish people? When 4,000 years ago they built that pyramid with absolute 100% precious geometry, without Pythagoras theorem, do you think that they would have constructed the pyramid 4,000 years ago? So can we ask the Egyptians to claim that Pythagoras theorem is theirs? What is this nonsense? You are claiming the copyright for the knowledge that is obsolete 2,500 years ago. This is absolute nonsense. We are all nonsense people. The so-called vice chancellors, professors, all nonsense people in this state. Yes, they are nonsense. I know that sexually they harass you, women who are doing PhD. There are a lot of stories. I traveled across Tamil Nadu. Many PhD students came, girl students, women students came and complained me when I was working on the education policy for the state. They said the please curb this menace. The male professors are misused. And they are taking money for PhD, for mentoring. Yeah, nonsense, isn't it? Doesn't it mean that we are barbarians in our life? When a professor is misusing a student for offering a degree, and somebody said that they are asked to work at the house of the mentor, the supervisor. Orderly. Have you heard about the orderly police department? The inspector level people used to go and work at the DGP's house just to buy some households and take care of the households of the SP, Superintendent of Police, or DGPs. Orderly. That practice is there. So a lot of things are very much in chaos in the way in which the modern science and technologies, advanced technologies are influencing us. The way by which we lead our society and society evolves, we have to be very much careful in deciding the course of our action in education that we never have done so far. In my perspective document that I submitted to the government of Tamil Nadu, it is 258 pages. I asked your organizers to circulate among you. I made it public now to the people of Tamil Nadu. I asked the people of Tamil Nadu to comment on what wrong I did. You go through the questions. Somebody said that there are thousands of questions there which were not answered by any of the policies in the past, the 75 years of independent India. Not one question, thousands of questions. The union government, UTC and Modi ji all must answer my questions. Otherwise, I wouldn't accept. My people wouldn't accept these policies are meant for. The intellectual community, the education community should answer this question. The questions that I have raised, I put it before you. You go through it. Then in what way do you claim that this national education policy is for us? If you deal with science as researchers, and you must have the quality, what is the quality to deal with it? You must dialectically deal with the knowledge that you pursue through research. Every knowledge is having its own complex. You must review that knowledge, analyze that knowledge, scientifically you must inquisitively address that knowledge, and then find out the conflicting part and to find out the truth. The truth that you are going to come out with your own research and scientific inquiry is nothing but the knowledge. But you must have the quality. You must have the quality. What is that quality? The virtues of science is what? The virtues of society are what? And virtues of rationalism are what? If these virtues are not combined, or if not practiced, you are not a researcher. Why do we want to call you as researchers learners? Even to learn fundamentally from elementary level to PhD level. You are going to be critically engaging that knowledge, critically reviewing that knowledge in terms of all scientific means of dealing with knowledge. Only then you will be able to find out the truth behind that knowledge. That means you need to have the virtues. Fortunately, I have come across, I found that the virtues of science, the virtues of society, the virtues of rationalism, all are one and the same. It is nothing but, these virtues are nothing but equality. Unless you are equal, you cannot engage each other, your conflicting ideas, and you cannot debate. You cannot analyze. For that matter, the social virtues, one of the social virtues is equality. If there is no equality, you are not going to communicate your experience, the communicated experience. The communicated experience among all the communities is very much important for us to dialectically engage knowledge to find out the truth beyond the conflicts. That is one of the virtues of the society. And then tolerance. Tolerance is another important social virtue for researchers, for learners, for intellectual communities, even among nominal common citizens. And that is a social virtue. Cooperative behavior, cooperative mutualism. All these are social virtues very much essential for science to build its purpose in its scientific process. So that means these social virtues I said are nothing but the same virtues necessary for you to be rational. All science are not good. Science is nothing but a fact. You observe, you discover. But just practicing the science with your applications, with your scientific applications, applied sciences, or technologies, and so on, doesn't mean education. When you deal with science, when you deal with knowledge, and if you are not rational, you are not going to, we in Tamil Nadu we call it like Padukari, rational. If you are not rational with science, science also will be against humanity. That is the problem. So that means science is to do with rationalism. And rationalism and science are to do with humanism. If all these are not integrated, are not addressed in an integrated fashion, knowledge is not going to be for us. If education has failed to collectively address these issues together, that means it is not education. In that manner, I put before a question to you, all scholarly people, you please go and review. This is my question. Has this been answered by National Education Policy 2020? No way. I asked Kasturi Rangan. I submitted about 79 first pages to him when he released the consultative document. No answer. I'm raising these questions all across this country. No professor has answered me so far. Forget these national education policy makers. They will not answer. I want answer for this. Or otherwise I have the answer. You all must accept it. That is the message I am giving to this part of the world. This barbarian world, India. I put it in my statement, 258 pages. Please go and read it. If I am wrong, dodge it, debate with me. Or you debate on yourself. Then we will find the answers. If education is to do with knowledge, productive with knowledge, and productive with production, the human experience should be, experienced. There must be an opportunity for all walks of life. An opportunity for all walks of life without any discrimination whatsoever in the name of caste, creed, religion, all nonsense. They must have an opportunity to deal with knowledge using their conscious experience. If education ensures that, then it is education. If education is going to produce pakoda makers, offering the skills, that is not education. Because the 21st century is not as simple as we think. Knowledge is not static, sir. It's very dynamic. And when production process is highly regulated, automated, with all cyber-physical systems, and quantum computing, and other artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and so on, then what is the role of humankind in the production process? Now I'm talking, it is a production process. I'm writing, I produce an article, it is a production process. It is not just only the physical labor. Everything that we do results in some kind of product, that means it's a production process. In this production process, in this 21st century, the humankind is expected to make decisions, analyze, take judgments, be critical, look beyond the conflicting knowledge, conflicts in the knowledge, and find out the truth behind it, beyond. We don't know what is the truth now with the advent of the social media and so on. We don't know what is the truth. Who says truth? We don't know. It is beyond our human capacity to corroborate, to find out the truth. That means finding the truth is the 21st century skill. If education is to offer only, this is the knowledge it should offer. Be it a farmer or a doctor or a professor. Because information is there. Just importing or transferring or communicating information is not knowledge. Those days are gone. Beyond digital, I'm talking about. The world is rewriting its definition of education and especially the university education. whatever we do in this country are against the philosophy of higher education and university education. It's multiple entry, multiple exit. And in one page of the 66-page NEP document, it was stated equality, equity, critical thinking. All these are good, isn't it? It is there in national education policy. The rest of the 65 pages of the document, you will see that all are against the principal statement. All are against the principal statement. It doesn't allow the people to critically review, view, analyze, and produce knowledge. It suppresses the conscious process of the people, fundamental. That means national education policy 2020 is nothing but commercialization, privatization, market orientation. And it is beyond that suffragisation. It has the ideas. It is indoctrination altogether. Indoctrination up to PhD level. Research topics when I was Vice Chancellor in 2018, I received from UGC when the policy document was under preparation. In 2019, when it was released, they started implementing. And they wrote, when I was Vice Chancellor, I received frequent letters from UGC saying that all our PhD students should take topics from the list of the UGC, prescribed by UGC. Those topics only we should take. The research agenda has now become a political agenda, friends. It's a political agenda. It's not research now in India. Education is political. So that means we have to make a decision now. Are we going to live with this? Or once for all take a call on it and voice for our rights? And the right is nothing but a simple, a just people education policy. A just people education policy. For all. Because the way I look at it, it is not simple education. The way they are bringing this, just last month they have hired 3,000 students across the country. 3,000 students out of several lakh students they selected, they handpicked, the UGC. They have appointed them as ambassadors to propagate national education policy. They are going to come and every group will come to influence you guys, students. And they also have appointed ambassadors from the teaching community. They are also doing their job. NCERT has completely revised its curriculum. Textbooks are ready now, complete. According to NEP, please don't get surprised if sun sets in east. If the textbooks of NCERT are going to claim sun sets in east, please don't get surprised. You have to follow it. You don't have to follow it. As one of the fools of the Indians, I also must follow it. This is the problem. So, please, I have a lot of things to talk to you, but you please go and refer my speeches there if you want to follow my ideas on national education policy. My time is short. I think many of our colleagues are going to speak. You will be getting it today. What I did so far is to just sensitize us ourselves. This national education policy is a plot, it's a conspiracy. National education policy 2020 is a conspiracy by the collusion of the national state and the market forces and the superior community in this country. These three joint ventures, segments, have created a joint venture, and that joint venture is steering this country And what Hitler failed to do, what Mussolini failed to do, is what India is trying to do in the name of education. Not by using weapon. Because Hitler and Mussolini used weapons to change the lives of people, to change the profile of the country, to define what nationalism, Nazi nationalism or fascist nationalism, and they defined. But now, in this present regime, we don't need a weapon to define all those things. Our Indian nationalism, it is nothing but only the education policy. And education as a process and a concept is enough to define the Indian nationalism and indoctrinate the majority of the people of this country to fall in line. I think that this is heading towards a fascism and militarism. For that matter, we have to resist against national education policy 2020 if we want to remain as human beings in 21st century. Thank you very much for it.
Thank you, sir. Professor Nation touched upon many important aspects of NEP, particularly of how it will be socially affecting the education system, not just particularly pertaining to research. Next we have our speaker number 2. Before that, I need to make some announcements. After our speakers finish all their presentations, if time permits, we can have questions to the speakers which they will answer. We move to our speaker number 2. We have Dr. Malavika Beni talking about NEP, a step-by-step guide to NEH critical thinking. Dr. Malavika Beni is the head of department of History Department in Kannur University, and she is also the executive committee member of the Indian History Congress. I welcome Dr. Malavika Beni to make a presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me put on record my absolute being offended at this podium, which is set to the height of a typical Savarna male. It happens to me all the time. One of the things that I think about is this issue of the default. The default being male, the default being grammar, the default being Sanskrit. So I think this is an apt beginning. But before we go there, we put on record my absolute delight at being able to share the dais with such wonderful people, with having Professor Kundavanandi, or audience with having Professor Aruna Lakshmi, who has been my guide and mentor and philosopher for more than a decade now, having Professor Gandhar Narik, Professor Ravindra and others among you. And also wonderful students and research scholars, colleagues who have, some of whom I have known for a couple of years now, some of whom have become close friends. It is indeed a privilege to be here in front of you to talk about the NEP, which I have been doing for the last 4 years or so. But because of the constraint of time, I would be looking at 3 key aspects of NEP as a historian of ideas and historian of science, which itself has been an interesting endeavor for me. Whenever we talk about a shift in education policies, we use a lot of buzzwords. One of the buzzwords being critical thinking, another being employability, yet another being choice-based credit system. So, in the NEP policy document as well, you do see a lot of garnishing of the document with all these brilliant buzzwords. But as Professor Mission has very aptly put before us, education is far more fundamental than a revision of textbook or curricula. Now, if we go by the educational philosopher Paulo Freire, he argues that education is one of those aspects which distinguishes us from animals. He talks about how animals don't need to animalize themselves, but we humans have to humanize ourselves. That is why we talk about dehumanizing experiences. We do not talk about de-animalizing experiences, do we? Because animals remain in a very historical condition. They don't build upon the knowledge or build upon the set of ideas that has been given to them by their animal ancestors. But we do that. So for us, as human beings, our ontological experience is one of situatedness. Situatedness in time and space. And in this realm of situatedness, we also create meaning. And it is through this constant creation and reconfiguration of meaning that we go through the human experience. So for us to humanize ourselves, we need that sort of situatedness. And that situatedness is deeply historically contingent. It is deeply cultural as well as geographically defined. And if we lose that realm of meaning, if we lose the idea of the being located in time and also in space, then the human experience itself will be lost. And what is fundamental to the creation of us knowing ourselves or us locating ourselves in the situatedness of time and space is education and a sense of us. Without a sense of us, without us educating ourselves, then we would, of course, be on the track towards dehumanizing. And that is what Paulo Freire refers to as dehumanization. Right? Us becoming mechanical, us becoming animal-like. It is not the experience of oppression, according to Freire, which dehumanizes. In fact, it makes you more human because you yourself are not oppressing any other community or set of people. Rather, you are experiencing oppression. So that doesn't take away your humanity. But what takes away your humanity is you being a spoke in the wheel. You being part of the wheel of oppression. So when you have a policy change initiated by a fascist regime, what is being attempted here is to take away or alter the fundamental humanity of the human experience or of people, of us being made into spokes in the wheel of oppression. So I have no doubt, and let me make it very clear that you shouldn't have either, that the battle is not just against the regime. It is not just against a new educational policy that has been put in front of us. The battle is to regain humanity. The battle is to resist the alteration that is sought to be brought into our ideas of what humanity constitutes of. So three aspects which make it very, very clear from the NEP policy document, which seeks to dehumanize us, dehumanize students, research scholars, teachers, are one, is this heavy emphasis on categorization. So if you look at NEP, the initial 5 to 10 pages or so will talk about interdisciplinarity. It will talk about critical thinking. It will also translated as knowledge, and Pratya, which is it has translated as wisdom, and then you also have reference to Satya, which has translated as truth. Now, what is interesting for me, as someone who has worked with Charaka and Sankhya philosophy, is that you do not have the term Vidya, which is knowledge which can be questioned. Knowledge which may be contradicted. And I do not think that this is the omission of Vidya is by accident. Because as you go through the NEP document, what you would see is that this idea of contradiction, which in many ways is what defines the document, is also something which the document seeks to snuff out. This idea of dissent, the idea of questioning back, is what is not found in the document. But what can be found in the document is the idea of absolute knowledge. And that is why the term Gyan is used. And when you have, wherever you have references to Gyan, you have another paragraph which follows, which would talk about Madhava, which would talk about Shankara, which would talk about the Vedas, which would talk about Charaka. And in the new draft, you also have some references to Gautama, Maitreyi, Gargi, as well as Nagarjuna, which has been put there as an afterthought and put in a very anachronistic, non-sequential, non-chronological manner. But then the question is, why doesn't Akka Mahadevi not figure in there? Why does Ibn Khaldun not figure in there? Why does Muhammad Saad Salman, who talked about metallurgy and who used metaphors from the world of metals to talk about metaphysics, not figure in there? As a historian of science, I have been elated to talk about Charaka, just like I would love to talk about Ibn Khaldun. Because both of this converge together to produce the many ideas of what was constituted of truth for particular periods. But then the NEP also engages in very clear labels and categories. For instance, it talks about indigenous knowledge systems. For a very long time, a lot of us from the Solvent School or scholars who belong to Adivasi or feminist backgrounds, when we talk about indigenous knowledge, we would talk about Adivasi knowledge, we would talk about Dalit knowledge, we would talk about folklore, we would talk about women's knowledge. And if you look at essays, articles, or scholarly literature about what was thought of as indigenous knowledge like 5 years ago, you will see that there is a lot of talk or a lot of ideas of forest conservation, about resource management, about household divisioning of labor, all of which went into this large umbrella term of indigenous knowledge. But then the NEP talks about indigenous knowledge in a wholly different context. For NEP, indigenous knowledge is Sanskrit knowledge. So when NEP talks about indigenous knowledge, what it wants to teach is the idea of Mere Bharat Mahan. So, and the Mere Bharat Mahan, the Bharat has a particular connotation, and the Mera or the Meri also has a particular connotation. So, if you look at the policy document on indigenous knowledge system, which was released in April 2023, you have two model courses which are being put forth. One is on astronomy, and the other is on mathematics. But even if you go through the draft, you would see a profound sense of confusion which the creators of the draft might have had or wants to thrust on us on what they understand as mathematics or Indian mathematics for that matter, or what they understand as a definition of what is astronomy or what is mathematics. So the first problem, if the first problem is that of categorization, the second problem is much more simple, but one which would have a more profound impact, which is that of absolute confusion. And the first, it goes without saying, I am someone who has worked on the Charaka Samhita. So by the 6th century CE, Charaka Samhita had converted itself into a highly Brahminical text. And there is this huge obsession that you could see in Charaka and later in Sushruta Samhita as well, where everything is so to be categorized. So each tendon in your body, your nail, your hair, every muscle in your body is put under one category or the other. Similarly, all beings, whether it is animals or flora, all of it is categorized and labeled as one or the other. To the extent that snakes are categorized according to Varna. So you have Kshatriya snakes, you have Brahmana snakes, and then you have Vaishya snakes and Shudra snakes. Similarly, you would have cows. You would have Kshatriya cows, you would have Vaishya cows, and you would have Shudra cows. So the project of Brahmanization in many cases is executed or implemented by the employment of this rampant classification and categorization, which is throughout anything. And once something is categorized, it is very, very easy to otherize it. It is very, very easy to sequester it. You still regard it as something that you know of, but to also lock it away or keep it hidden or cloister it or sequester it to some place. This divisioning of Indian history into the tripartite history, which was a product of very Orientalist and literary scholars, which scholars like Ramla Shapar has already talked of, and which was done by scholars such as Max Muller and James Mill, has made it extremely convenient for this project of sequestration, this project of categorization and othering, to be brought into the NEP document very, very easily. So if as humans, we tend to compartmentalize things, but that compartmentalization, when that slips into projects of division, where we have made contours not just on maps to divide ourselves into countries, but also to divide the time itself into parts, so as to make it more convenient for us. But this project of divisioning time, project of divisioning space has never been a pleasant experience in human history. And as a famous historian has remarked, this whole idea of dividing time into blocks and compartments and then labeling them, sometimes we forget that this is a human endeavor that we have done. For instance, if I ask you a question, what makes the medieval? History student, a UG student of history would jump up and say the events and the processes and the kind of innate characteristic that particular period has that makes the medieval. But then, if a historian looks at medieval sources, the lines between the medieval and the modern are very, very blurry. In fact, it is impossible for a historian to define where the late medieval ends and the early modern begins. For instance, if I ask a question whether Akbar's or Shah Jahan's court was more medieval than the Samoan code which was introduced by the British, how would you be able to answer? So what is modern in many cases is defined by us labeling that period to be modern. So the medieval becomes medieval because you and I or a set of people have labeled it as medieval. But by the labeling and categorizing of a particular period of history as one, we have also made it very, very easy to humanize it. We have made it very, very easy for whichever ruling or design it is to completely take or completely cut or from history. It has also aided in the process of labeling certain communities, particularly marginalized community, as being part of the construction of the construction of a particular narrative, a narrative which was imposed on them. So, going back to Paulo Freire, he talks about the need of fascism times to beautify, to create mythologies of power. In the case of India, you not only have the creation of a mythology of power, you also have the baggage of Orientalism. In fact, if the NEP claims that the whole focus of the NEP is to orient education in a new direction, one, as a historian or as a person or as a feminist, I would claim that the project is not on orientation, but rather the project is of reorientalization, where all the ideas of Orientalism, this idea of the effeminate is the idea of the unchanging East, the idea of the ruptureless East, is all these ideas can be found in the NEP, where when we're talking about ancient science, and I say this with inverted commas, the attempt in the NEP is to stretch science all the way from the Vedas to 18th and 19th centuries. Now, how do you do this without talking about the medieval period? How do you talk about this without talking about the Mughal court with its inventions of the spectacles, of metallurgic practices, of the various kinds of irrigation technology, including the Persian wheel and the how do you talk about this without the introduction of tobacco and papaya and cashew nut in the 16th, 17th century, or the invention of the astrolabe, or the invention of the fines and galvanized mirrors, all of which you will see in the courts of the sultans from the 16th century to the 18th century. This is something that leaves a historian of science like me very important. So an entire epoch is cut off on the one hand, and on the other hand, there is this attempt to project that science, or pseudoscience, as it would be more accurate, has a structureless, has a very constant and continuous flow from the Vedas to the 18th and 19th century. You would see this in the case being made for mathematics, you would see the same case being made for metallurgy, you would see the same case being made for astronomy, so on and so forth. So it's not by accident, and it is not an innocent statement. It has been very, very cleverly drafted. For instance, under the section on mathematics, you have a section on Ramanuja, and it starts with Ramanuja's achievements in the field of mathematics, and the second subsection is on Ramanuja, and just a title, nothing else is given. You can Google this. It says Ramanuja not as Newton but as Madhava. What does this even mean? So if I am a teacher who is supposed to teach indigenous knowledge systems to students, how am I to make sense of this particular statement? Which brings me to the third problem, which is that of individualization. So not only do you have issues of categorization and profound confusion, and confusion itself will be greatly exaggerated because of the way in which traditional education systems and universities have been functioning for long in our country. For instance, one of the questions that we asked our VC was, when you are going to have a 4-year degree instead of a UG program, instead of a 3-year UG program, will we have more teachers? I would be glad if some of my friends and students would get work because of a 4-year UG program. The answer was no. So with the same infrastructure, with the same set of people, teachers, you would have a 4-year program in implement. And then, if a student takes up the 4-year degree, then the student will be eligible to do a 1-year MA program. But what will I teach under a 1-year MA program? How do I teach world history and Indian history and South Indian history and Kerala history in just 1 year? Are we thinking of specializations and super specializations? Are we thinking of offering degrees in particular branches of history such as gender history or environmental history? Again, there is utter confusion about the path this will take. So we have in our hands a policy document which very intentionally takes away clarity and offers us chaos. And this chaos is a very intended chaos. So that when this chaos takes place, and it has already started, Kerala government, for instance, have partially said yes to the NEP, so we will be having 4-year UG programs. And in spite of having a 3-year UG program and an MBA degree, the researchers who diversify and come to take a PhD in history still have to be trained for another year. For them to get used to the methodology, for them to get an idea of how the history works and the good purpose of history. But now we will have students moving directly from a 1-year MA program to that of research, which again puts a lot of questions in front of me as a teacher. But then this is something that we do not have a choice over. This is something that has been thrust down our throats. But this the idea of individualization, when it is added to that of categorization as well as confusion, kind of puts the onus of the entire education on the student. Now we do have digitization, we do live in a globalized world, and of course there will be talks about a global ecosystem. Yes, I take all of that into consideration, but then there is this heavy onus on the student. So the student is thought of as someone who will be taking this. It is all good. That is why I absolutely agree with Professor Mahalakshmi's statement that it's a very deceptive statement. So it makes it seem as if the student has a lot of choice. But the choice is very curtailed by the kind of courses which are offered. So it also gives us this make-believe world of choice. And when this chaos or when the confusion is going to take charge, it will be on the shoulders of the student to bear the brunt of it. Because ultimately, it will be understood as his or her choice. Now, when the NEP talks about students, it talks about gifted students, it talks about special students, which is all very alarming for me. But then it also offers the student the possibility of leaving education and coming back, or what is referred to as the academic credit system, which again is something that is intimately linked to the idea of individuality of the student. But where is this going to strike? This is going to strike those students who are from socially and economically disprivileged backgrounds. The dropout ratio of females college-going students is as high as 30% in Uttar Pradesh. It is 20% in Bihar. The national average is 26%. And a lot of female students who leave education, particularly at the college level, they come back to finish their degree. They come back to this idea that if you have taken up a degree course, it has to be finished in 3 years my education first. Now, if the education itself has an option for you to drop out and get diplomas, I am very, very scared as a teacher of the pending plight of a lot of my female students, or whether they will ever come back to education. I am equally scared of the plight that awaits my Dalit students and my Bahujan students. If you have a 4-year degree, if there are options for credits to be banked somewhere, if they ever come back to education, then the dropout rates are so high among the tribal children, the Dalit children and the Bahujan children. And again, the burden of them having left education will be squarely placed on their backs. It will not be understood as a problem of NEP, because NEP itself claims that it is a student who has a flexibility of choice. But this is not a flexibility of choice, it is the illusion of choice. And these three nuances that one can find even the very cursory reading of NEP, of this high degree of grammatical categorization, this profound confusion, and this heavy emphasis on individualization student, this together is going to completely annihilate whatever is left of critical thinking, whatever is left of intellectual activity which is left in the intelligence. I'm so sorry for being a doomsday prophet here, but as Professor Jawahar has told us, it is already too late. And if at least some of us don't speak about it, I believe that all will be lost. So let me congratulate and applaud each of you research scholars and the organizers of this particular seminar for having shown the vacants, for having shown the bravery to actually come together and have this, because it's not a very easy thing to do. It is very difficult to come together and interrogate ourselves, particularly when the system has already been implemented. So let me once again congratulate the Democratic Research Scholars Organization and all those who have played a pivotal role in bringing all of us together. But let me also say this, the fight has already begun. And let us try the best that we can.
Thank you, Dr. Mahalagavini. Dr. Newman has touched on many important aspects, including how NEP will perpetuate the marginalization of who and what are already marginalized. Next, we have another important aspect of NEP being discussed here. In our earlier session, we have already talked about how funding is very important to how research should go. So we have Professor Ramesh Landankar who will speak about higher education and research funding. Professor Landankar is the chairman of the Department of Biotechnology at Gulbarga University, Kalburgi. Sir, over to you.
Very good afternoon, all of you. Respected Professor R. Mahalakshmi, Madam, esteemed Speaker, Professor N. Jawahar Nation, Dr. Lalita Vini Madam, Professor K.P. Saji sir, and all research scholars, so ignited young friends. Let me congratulate the DRS for having organizing such a wonderful convention. Actually, it is need of the hour. It's very aptly they have organized, late but not early, but it's very aptly they have organized it. So I am interacting with you regarding higher education and research funding. So this is the very high sensitive age of the completion of the UG, joining into PG, and after completion of PG, some of you may join for the PhD, and after completion of PhD, you may join for postdoctoral research also. So this is very sensitive area. Actually, this is the time to settle in life. So, does this system allows to settle in a happy manner at this age? Not. Or this system enable you to conduct a good research? Not at all. Because so many problems are occurring while passing through the higher education, then research, then post-research degree. So higher education actually should solve all societal problems. It should solve unemployment problem, it should solve your funding problem, economic problem, social ills. It should solve. But the present system of higher education, till now not NEP is not at all introduced, but it may in future they are planned to introduce. It may come in action. In our state, it has already implemented. So we have already experienced what are the implications of this higher education system in accordance with the national education policy. So, present structure of higher education or education system is primary, secondary, and tertiary, including undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. What is wrong with this? Why they have introduced 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4? So, does our system has prepared to face all the consequences or repercussions which are occurred due to the implementation of the national education policy? If you take out at the elementary level, 5 year, including Anganwadis, does these Anganwadis are well equipped, including teachers? Are they trained well? Not at all. There is no preparation at all. But they are ready to implement in a hurry. So, what is the necessity to change board structure? So, this is really something to destroy and establishing something which is required by the this system. So, higher education 4 plus 3 plus 1 year PG, or 4 plus 1 year PG, or 3 plus 2 year PG. So now 3 year undergraduate course and 2 year post graduation course. So these students are not well equipped or well trained or well acquired knowledge in some places, because India is a heterogeneous country. We have the schooling system even in villages. The schooling system in villages are different. The schooling system in city level is different. We don't have facilities which are provided in the city and in the villages. The teachers who are teaching at the village level and at the city level, they are not competent enough. They are not on par with both the village level and city level teachers. They are different in their training level. So students are not getting equal knowledge. Their village students are not competent with the city students. So such a disparity is existing while teaching primary, secondary education. So how can we expect some complex and cafeteria-like system of education, higher education? What does it mean, cafeteria? Cafeteria, that definition itself is wrong. It's not some commodity to sell or to sell the commodity in cafeteria. and there is credit banking system. So your credits are deposited in the bank. How will you deposit your money in a bank? So what is concept? So this concept itself is a corporate. This is not an intellectual concept. Credit, your knowledge is credited in a bank. What's nonsense it is? And the salary which is preparing for the NEP, it's all holistic and skill based. What is holistic? Holistic itself is a common word. It refers to some holistic places. What holistic education? And skill based. Skill based means we are preparing a machine which can work accordingly how it is designed. Skill based, skill oriented education. It's not the education which really give you a knowledge, which really prepare the students to become an intellectual. Holistic and skill based. Skill means you are prepared to do some work. You are prepared to do carpentry work. You are prepared to do some leather shoe making work. You are prepared to do farming work. So is it the education required? It's already being practiced in the society. Farming does not require any education, but of course education will add it to improvisation of the farming or cultivation activities. But skill-based education is a knowledge-based education. It is a machine-oriented education. It's preparing the particular students to work for a particular job. So such kind of higher education does we require? Certainly not. We need the world knowledge acquiring salary. We need world knowledge acquiring structural system, study system. So instead of that, they are providing us a skill-based education. Really don't fetch you a knowledge at all. Either it's a basic science or it is an applied science. So basic science is also neglected here and applied science is also neglected here. Basic science, you will learn the fundamental knowledge. Applied science is already which are discovered, invention, how to apply this for the upliftment of the society. That you will learn through applied education. But basic educations are also very much essential to add to the applied education. Neither they are teaching basic education completely, nor they are teaching applied education completely. In between they are framing the skill-based syllabus. The skill-oriented education is only the machine-oriented education. So if one batch or two batch students, if they pass through the NEP, they are literally knowledgeless batch. Literally. Because they know only skill. We don't know what is cell. We know only how to modify the gene. The genomic modification we know better. But we don't know how the cell works. So does this kind of education we need? We don't know root. We know how the fruit has to be harvested. We don't know how fruit is formed when it comes. We don't know root at all. So such a kind of education is national education policy. So rather, this is a mixed without giving you a deeper knowledge in a particular subject. If you want to study biology, there is no deep study in the biology or deep study in the economics, deep study in the political science, sociology or commerce. There is no deep study, deep knowledge how can it comes. Only skill oriented, how to market a pen. You know this, only how to market a pen. But you don't know how to manufacture the pen. So such a kind of education is the national education policy. It does not have any real value. One can learn through this. Rather, the existing system of education is better than the national education, new education policy. Instead of holistic, why not scientific? Why you are not giving that scientific education? Why it is holistic? Why it is skill based? Why can't you not ready to teach with a basic science and applied sciences? So if you think in this direction, really you will oppose the national education policy, new education policy. So this is the new education policy system. Now if you come to the funding agencies, see how these universities are regulated. Universities are regulated to UGC, University Grant Commission. And there is an MHRD, Ministry of Human Resource Development. So under this new education policy system, they are changing UGC into higher education policy. They are renaming the UGC, which is supposed to provide a grant to the universities. So it is becoming only a academic body. They are renaming this University Grant Commission as Higher Education Commission. Only this body has to look after the academic provisions. Then MHRD is renaming as Ministry of Higher Education. That's it. Both MHRD and UGC are the finance research grant providing organizations. But under this NEP policy, they are renaming these agencies, UGC and both MHRD, only to be silent, not to fund. Then which is funding now? Now, National Research Foundations, NRF. They have brought one more agency, NRF. So all the funding agencies like ICMR, CSIR, DBT, DST, you name whatever the funding agencies are existing now, they are all brought under NRF. So NRF is supporting financially only to the DBT, DST, CSIR, all these institutes, NIN, IIT. Then what about traditional universities? So they are preparing the financial budget for the traditional universities. Now traditional universities are under utter crisis. We don't have even to purchase chemicals and classes. Previously, year-wise, there was a budget allocation of 10 lakh, 5 lakh to purchase chemicals and classes. These are minimum requirements to conduct an experiment for the MSc people, not research. So they are reduced to 1 lakh. 10 lakh to it has come to 1 lakh. So such a huge economic crisis now. Universities are not supported by any government funding agencies. If we apply for the project, they never sanction project to the universities. They sanction only to DBT, CSIR funded institutes. Or there are private foundations, private research institutions, they are getting more fund from these bodies. As I said, there is a university which is not at all existing, zero university. Such universities are getting more fund rather than government universities. And our students, after completion of the MSc, if they want to join for the PhD, there is an entrance exam, and national level NET is there. For NET, how many students they are passing? They made some percentage of passing. Out of 100, only 6 students should pass. Is it really a democratic way of selecting the students? If 100 students are appearing for the NET,